In the young guys quite a bit, and then the veterans are getting not a lot of work, trying to recover and essentially rehabilitate their bodies. So the guys that haven't played as much in the games, and then the redshirt players got a lot of coaching today. All the varsity coaches took those guys over, and then the veteran guys got just a little bit of work, 20 or 30 minutes or so. So trying to get their bodies back, but also bring the young guys along.
Is it odd having another off week this close after the last one?
Yeah, it's a little different. They're going to clean it up next year. Everybody's moving to a different pattern next year, but it is what it is. We base everything on TV, and they pay the bills, so we just kind of go with the flow.
You played a lot of guys that are redshirting in the McNeese game. Now you're down to 3 regular season, a possible bowl game. Will you start considering some guys
Sure.
you might filter in?
There are some guys that we're looking at this week that could get in on special teams and potentially be a backup. And then, we're in games now that you have to figure on them being competitive. So not that you can adjust a lot with your 1s and 2s, but there could be some young guys, and we'll make that decision by Thursday. They're working a few guys, and if we feel like they can help us, we'll work them in some on special teams.
With this week, do you take the opportunity at all to tweak anything on offense or defense, change anything up when people are looking at tape of you guys?
Not really. There's always thought about that, but you almost want to correct where you're deficient. It's just so difficult to teach these guys new stuff and then get them to play fast on Saturdays. I guess you could do a few things, but we don't really change much. We kind of do what we do. That's who we are, and we just try to get better at the things that we think we're good at and we can accomplish on Saturdays.
Coming off that game and the way the kids came through in the clutch after what happened last week, practice, have you sensed a little pep in the step? Guys, feeling pretty good about the way things are going?
It always helps to win, and we talked about that and had a discussion with them on Sunday that they were successful and everybody's excited. We got to go back to work. We got to have the same frame of mind every Sunday, and they've done that. But it always helps. Everybody feels good when you have success.
Is having a bye week after having a week like you guys had kind of help cope with some of that? Having an off week this week.
These guys, I always say, this generation of young people, they recover fast and they move on to things all the time, and so they do a good job of that. They're probably more energized based on not having heavy practices in the middle of the week. That does more for them than anything.
I know you said you're getting the young guys going, but how have you seen Stoner kind of coming off that game in practice this week, knowing that this is kind of the role he's really molding into, stepping into?
Once we had the issue last week, Stoner just jumped right in. He knows all 3 positions, and he's a special player. And he, like I said after the game, he was out there in Thursday practice diving for balls, and so that's just the way he is. And I saw him do it again today. So he's just kind of a jack of all trades for us, and he loves to play the game, and he's willing to accept that role. I mean, he would love to have more put on him. So he's a good part of the team.
And with the bye week, you get a chance to be a dad, to watch your boys play. How have you seen Gunner specifically grow in his time in high school now that he's edging towards the end of the season there?
It's hard to believe that he's getting toward the end of his senior year, but the thing that Kristen and I are most proud of is he's stayed humble. He's a very humble young man. He's very unselfish. I've asked him and tried to instill and teach him during his career to do things to help his coaches, to be a leader and be a vocal leader, and I think he's done that. And we're as proud of that as anything. He is very talented and he's a special player, but the way he handles himself on the field, being unselfish and humble, and off the field has made us most proud.
How have you tried to help him during the whole recruiting process that he has had the experience?
We talked about it a little bit prior to the season, and we haven't talked about it much. He has to make decisions on what he wants to do. Obviously, there's people now that, more people that show interest now, and that'll continue to grow for him. And then he has to decide what he wants to do. He knows that he's going to have options, and then he has to decide where he wants to go, what he wants to do. It's his life. And if he comes to me with questions, I'll answer them. He's been around it all of his life, so he knows a lot, and I think he has a pretty good idea of what he wants to do. I'm just not sure if he knows for sure exactly where he wants to do it.
Last couple of weeks, the defense has had a good balance of getting pressure but not giving up the big plays. Do you feel this is just kind of a scenario where Jim's starting to get more comfortable with what to expect in the Big 12 offenses?
Yes, and I think our defense, as we make a transition into a little bit different style, they're learning. I'm learning that it's not as easy to just make a change as what people think. So they're making the transition, and it's key ingredients in this league: the turnover battle, the penalties and special teams, and then not giving up big plays. And we are competing, and when we don't give up big plays and we win the turnover battle, we're generally in every game. So that's kind of what our goal is as we move forward.
How big is it, the fact that it seems like the defensive line is also having success getting pressure without necessarily having to bring an extra linebacker or something like that?
Well, with the 3 down fronts that are popular in this league, the difficult side of it is whether you can get enough pressure on first down passing, and it's not easy because there's 5 blocking 3. So those guys have a difficult job, but they've got to get some pressure on the quarterback because the guys in this league are so good. When they stand back there, they can wear you out. So we've worked hard on that. We're trying to get better and better at it, and there's some young players that are maturing as the season goes on, and I'm really excited about next year because basically everybody's back. But they're considerably better now compared to where they were at Oregon State.
Would Trace Ford be one of those guys? It seems like he's definitely developed the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he had 50. He was been averaging about 25 plays. He had 54 at Iowa State, and I think he had over 50 in this game. So they're giving him a little more as he matures.
You got Kansas coming in here next week from Saturday. Will it be a little weird seeing Les over on the other sideline?
It is weird when I watch. I've seen some of their games this year. We were flying home from somewhere, and I saw the Tech game, and then they played at night against Texas, and I don't know who else they played, but I've seen them some just because it fell on that channel, and it's kind of unusual seeing him over there. But it seemed like they're doing a good job, and I'm happy for him. But it'll be good to see him again.
Any good Les memories that you want to share?
I don't. We're running out of tape. Y'all don't have enough tape for him. We can do that in the off season, particularly sitting around drinking beer would be best. But yeah, and Les played a big role in my career, in offensive football and things that I've learned, and we do a lot of the stuff that he taught me today, between him and Coach Jones and that style of play.
Going back to that maturity you were talking about, what did you like out of Harville Peel's growth from?
Gosh, he and Sterling both, but Peel is just, he's turning into a special player. His ability to break on the ball and break up passes, and his ability to process information and know when to go where and what to do has gotten so much better. It started last year in the bowl game. We started to see him make a lot of plays, and it's really continued over into this season.
You moved Braden to kickoff last week. What was the thought process there?
Well, LD was a little banged up, so we put Braden back there to give him a shot. He's obviously very fast, and kickoff return, part of it is if you hit a crease and you're fast, it's a good play. So we're increasing his workload based on the success he's had and his ability to handle himself on and off the field. He's done really well this year, and he's starting to see signs on the field. So we're going to leave him there and let him do it.
Offensively, you've talked about the fact that you've run 50-some plays each of the last 2 games. Looking back at it, is that more by what you guys have done? I know you're huddling more and doing things like that, or is it just the flow of the game with what the other teams
Two reasons. The huddle slows it down something, but it still shouldn't be 54. It should be around 65. Big plays is then the other thing, right? So we had 3 or 4 big plays at Iowa State, and we had 4 or 5 big plays in this game, so you're off the field. Those are the 2 things that have contributed to that. The huddling should still float you around 65 plays, 60 to 65.
CJ Moore is a guy who had success early on in the year. How have you seen him progress throughout the season?
He's getting better. We just had a discussion about him today, and he's really twitchy. He's got good hands, and he's got deceptive speed. So I'm excited about his future. He's not as far along as Braden right now, experience-wise, but if he stays the course, continues to do what we ask him to do in this culture, he'll be just fine. Should be a good player here.
Score prediction for the 9th grade championship
Oh my gosh, I don't know. No telling, but I'm excited about going over there and watching Gage tonight. They've done a great job. Their coaches do a really good job at Stillwater, and so I'm excited. He's a little bit of a knucklehead compared to Gunner, but he's played hard, and I'm proud of him. He stays humble and competes. And he's unselfish. So we've been pretty fortunate to have two boys that are trying to do the right thing, and in an environment with good coaches. Stillwater coaches do a great job.
What's it like watching games as a dad? I mean, is it hard not to watch it with a coach's eye, or are you able to kind of disconnect it in that way?
I watch it with a coach's eye. I mean, that's just the way it is, but I watch every game with a coach's eye. It doesn't make any difference. When I go to Little League games, if I'm waiting for my kids' team to play and I'm watching them the same way, so that never changes. But I enjoy it. I don't get caught up in it. I don't stand up and yell I just watch the boys play, and I enjoy that part of it. I'm not one of those parents that's too eaten up with who wins and who loses. And it's important to us, Kristen and I, that the boys are humble and they're unselfish and they play hard and compete. I want them to compete and prepare. That's what life's about, right? Do the best you can and go play and be successful, and then you don't worry about the rest. And so that's what they've done. So I'm most pleased with that, and so that's why I can just enjoy the games and not get all caught up in all the junk.
If Gunner's decision is to come here, do you think he's going to tell you first, or have you guys talked about that, or is it going to be a surprise for you?
We haven't. Gosh, Gunner doesn't talk much anyway. If you interviewed him today and you got words out of him, you did good. Gunner is just doesn't talk a lot. If he says, "Hey, I want to come to Oklahoma State and play," he'll probably just go online and enroll, not tell anybody. I do know that he wants to be an engineer. He wants to get an engineering school. We do have that, so that's a good thing. But there's other schools that have engineering also. But I might be the last to know, to be honest with you, with Gunner.
The Heisman has become kind of more of a quarterback trophy, but if you could make a case for your running back right now, what would it be?
The good thing is I don't even have to make a case. I think he's done it for himself. He's done it over and over and over, and I've had several people ask me that question, and I'm sure that there'll be a game. We've got 3 left. I don't even know when that is. Early December. So he's got 3 games left, and percentages are somebody might slow him down some and hold him to what would be not a game that you would be excited about. But what he's done up to this point, and if he, good Lord willing, and he stays healthy and keeps going, he's going to have some good numbers. And he's been impressive against good teams. The last game, for those of you that have been around and know, he played a good defense and can run really fast, and he was very, very productive. And so I think that he's laid the groundwork himself. And as Mr. Pickens used to say, you don't want to look in the bag yet and see what's in there, so I don't want to do that. But I don't think we have to do much promoting him at all. I think the country's pretty aware of how impressive he is and what kind of year he's had.
They always talk about a Heisman moment. Do you feel that he's had one yet? Or do you think maybe TCU?
I think TCU is pretty good. And I say this because Coach Patterson's a good friend of mine, and I say it out of respect. There's never been anybody rush for 200 yards against him. He's been coaching a long time, and I think that was as an assistant when he's a coordinator and a head coach. And he's played against some good backs. We can go back, and I think he was an assistant at TCU for 5 or 6 years before being the head coach. Isn't that correct? Yeah. So go back 25 years and take into account all the running backs that he's competed against when he was calling plays, and I bet you there are going to be some good ones. And nobody's ever done what Chuba did. Good?